Nation says there's been an increase in the number of forced laborers worldwide. The International Labour Organization report found almost 21 million people are trapped in their jobs. Most of them, 56%, are in the Asia-Pacific region. And according to the study, 90% of all forced laborers are exploited by private companies. Well, Beate Andrees is the head of the Special Action Program to combat forced labor at the ILO, and she joins us now from Geneva via the internet. Beate Andrees, thanks very much for talking to us. What does your organization do to try and educate or help governments try to stop this kind of forced labor?
Well, I think the first and important thing is to raise awareness on this modern form of slavery. Forced labor is a crime, and most countries have enacted legislation to prohibit forced labor and to put the offenders behind bars. However, we have to improve the identification of the victims, we have to improve victim protection systems, and also work much more on prevention, and that's what the ILO stands for.
Tell us why it's been so difficult to contain this kind of forced labor, especially since you've mentioned in your report that the number of people who are victims of this is actually growing, especially in areas like the Asia-Pacific and Africa.
Well, the truth is we don't really know what the trends are because the data is still very weak. We have seen, as compared to 2005, when we published our first figures, that indeed the number is much higher than we thought back in 2005. And that's shocking. It's an urgent call for action. We also see that the Africa region is actually more affected than we thought a few years ago. This is probably due to the fact that we have much better data now from Africa, so we have a better understanding of the problem in this region.
You mentioned in your report that one of the main issues is that prosecution of those behind forced labor is inadequate. What is being done about it, and why is it so difficult to prosecute these people?
Well, for once, because most victims don't dare to denounce their exploiters. They are in a very difficult situation, under threat. Very often the coercion is subtle, but those who are affected don't know where to turn for help. So the first thing is really to improve legal advisory services, outreach services for these people, and we now know, based on our report, who is more affected by or who's more at risk. The second very urgent need is to sensitize prosecutors, to sensitize the police, but also labor inspectors and judges, so that they understand that forced labor is really still a reality in many countries and needs to be prosecuted.
Beate Andrees is from the International Labour Organization. Thank you for taking the time to speak to us.